This is Drew Bennett, and for the past year I've done a video every single day on my other YouTube channel, and I thought I really should do something with what I really enjoy, which is the Transformers. The other day I was cleaning out my office and cleaning it up. I decided that what I'm going to do for 2017 on this channel is go through all of the Transformers comic books that I have been collecting since 1984. I was 10 years old in 1984, I'm 42 now, and in those 33 years, it's 2017, so whatever, in that 33 years time period, I have collected 2 long boxes of Transformers comic books, all the ones that I could find, and as I went through them and I organized them all, I realized that there are a few that I might be missing, so I'm going to try to find those in this coming year. But I'm also going to reread each of them and talk to you about them and kind of do a mini review of comic books. So this is the very first part of a 4-issue mini-series, the very first Transformers comic book that came out in 1984, September of 1984, published by Marvel Comics, and 75 cents. There's quite a price difference now at $3.99, $4 per comic. And this, I read through it, and I reread it, and it had some substantial information. I watched all the comic books. I watched all the cartoons, read all of the comic books. I spent all my individual money that I earned from mowing lawns and allowances and stuff like that to make sure that I found the Transformers at various comic book stores near me. There were a couple at the time. There was some on Cape Cod. There were some in my local town of Attleboro, and there were various other places, but I would usually stop on the Cape and pick up the comics. I didn't really do subscriptions at that point. I was 10 years old, and I would find them at the comic book store, at the Walgreens, or different places. They were everywhere. And so the 4-issue series, the first 4 issues, spawned into an 80-issue run in the 80s, and then the comics went away. They actually went across the pond, and they continued on over there, and then 1993 there was a new comic that came out. It was called Generation 2, and there was a 12-issue series there, and it wasn't again until the late 90s, I think early 2000s, where Transformers started to come back in the comic books. And so just going to go through these and kind of talk to you a little bit about them. So that's kind of the history. This will be a little bit longer than usual, just so you kind of get a history of who I am and where I'm at with Transformers and how they've been a big part of my life. Growing up, I collected all of the toys. I still do. I still have all of them. I have all of my Transformers from my childhood, and then I also continue to collect them off and on. I've done some reviews of them over on my other channel, and I think I'll do some of them on this channel too. But daily, I want to start going chronological order, talking to you about each one of the Transformers comic books. And so, the first issue. This one sets up the whole universe for Transformers. They're aliens from a planet called Cybertron, roughly about the size of Saturn. It was in the Alpha Centauri galaxy or nebula or whatever, and the planet started to move with all of the fighting that happened. It got knocked out of orbit with all of the fighting between the Autobots, who are the good guys, and the Decepticons, who are the bad guys, and it ended up near Earth. It actually got close to an asteroid belt. That's what the story is telling us here. It got close to an asteroid belt, and Optimus Prime and some of his Autobots went out in the ship called the Ark, and they cleared the way so that Cybertron could get through the asteroid belt without getting damaged. Well, they ended up crash landing on Earth for, I think it's 4 billion years ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago. I want to make sure I got that number right. Yeah, volcanic. Yeah, I'm sorry. 4 million years. 4 million years. So 4 million years ago, they crash land into the side of a volcano called Mount St. Hilary in Oregon, and here's kind of the arc crashing here, and it lays dormant for those 4 million years. A volcanic eruption occurs and wakes up the system in the arc. It goes out and it searches for the dominant life form, which it sees all these cars and trucks, and so thinks that cars and trucks are the dominant life form. They come back, they rebuild the Transformers that have crash landed to look like cars and trucks and airplanes and things like that, because the Decepticons were also crash landed with them in the arc. And then, starts one of these these plot points that happens so many times in the Transformers, is that the Decepticons could easily have destroyed all of the Autobots and been done with it, but Megatron says, no, we're going to go and get fully energized, we're going to get fully fueled up before we take on this fight. We couldn't possibly win. And there we see the setup between Megatron and Starscream, where Starscream is always trying to undercut Megatron, trying to question everything that Megatron does, and sometimes with good reason, because Megatron tactically is not too bright sometimes. So the core Decepticons who are here, Megatron, you got Starscream, you got Soundwave, you got Thundercracker, Skywarp. Then you have the tapes, you got Rumble and Frenzy, you got Buzzsaw, Laserbeak, and Ravage. And that's it. That's all you got for the Decepticons in this opening issue. They also say, Megatron also does say, our fuel sources are uncertain, should our attack fail, the might of Optimus could well decide the outcome. No, we leave. But they also says, and few in number, one of our mightiest is missing. And we'll have to find out who that is in other episodes, in other issues. On the Autobot team, so you got the Autobots. They're all standing around. Each one kind of gives exposition on who they are. We got Optimus Prime. We've got Ironhide. And check out Ironhide. The toy actually looked like Ironhide. He doesn't look like Ironhide from the cartoon. He's Ironhide that looks like Ironhide from the toy. So they must have been using the toys as models for the comic book at this point, because Ironhide and Ratchet, their toys were weird. So you got Optimus, Ironhide, Huffer, Bumblebee, Sunstreaker, Cliffjumper, Brawn, Sideswipe, Mirage, Jazz, let's see, Bluestreak, Prowl, Gears, Hound, Windcharger, Ratchet, Wheeljack, who is my absolute favorite and my very first Transformer that I ever got in as a toy, and Trailbreaker. So those are all the Autobots that are crash landed on Earth here. And the ranks will swell over time as we go through, and some characters will get hurt and things like that. Ravage can actually speak. He's not just a recording in this. Ravage, the Black Panther looking character, who's one of Soundwave's tapes, he can actually speak, and he speaks quite a few times in this. So the Autobots, the Decepticons go out and they set up their own base at the top of a mountain. And the Autobots go out in reconnaissance to kind of see if they can make contact with the beings of this world, which they think are cars and trucks. And they end up going and finding a bunch of cars and trucks at a drive-in. They think it's some sort of religious thing where they're all staring at this screen that has these strange images on them. And the Decepticons attack. Meanwhile, Bumblebee, who is the most social of the Transformers of the Autobots, ends up bumping one of the cars that is driven by a guy named Buster Witwicky. It's not Spike, it's Buster. Buster Witwicky. And Buster he's a academic sort, so he is studying library sciences apparently, and his father, Sparkplug, is a mechanic. And so Bumblebee is damaged, and Buster brings Bumblebee to Sparkplug's garage, starts working on him in the middle of the night, and he's shown no interest in mechanics at this time. But Sparkplug comes down and he sees Buster working on Bumblebee, and they then find out that Bumblebee is actually alive. He doesn't transform, but he is hurt, he is dying, he says. And so that sets up the first issue, which, I mean, I'm rereading this now after, I don't remember the last time I ever read this, besides being a kid, or rereading, say, a reprint of it. But my actual physical, real comic from that time, I have not read in a very long time. And it had some substantial information in it. There's a heck of a lot of exposition on here. I mean, look at all of the content on here. Each of the characters kind of sets up who they are, their main weapon, their name, and things like that. So I found it to be, I'm really excited that I'm going to be reading one of these every single day. And this brings me to the reason why I'm even doing this. The reason I'm doing this is that I've actually gone about a year or two not reading any of the comics that I've been collecting. That means there's a ton of Transformers, the current Transformers comic books, I haven't even read. And I wanted to get back into that and make sure that I continue to read those comics that I have. And so I organized all of them today in 2 big long boxes, and I'm going to read one every single day and then talk to you about them. They'll probably be a little bit shorter than that, because you don't have to know all about me, because hopefully you'll start from the beginning and you'll find a little bit more. And this is my channel. I call it Big Damn Kid, and that is kind of a play on the Big Damn Heroes, that line from the TV show Firefly. I just thought, Big Damn Kid, because that's what I am. I am a big kid. I'm a 10-year-old in a 42-year-old's body. I just love toys, love comic books. I've always loved Transformers, and I love to talk about them. And so if you do as well, please leave a comment below. Please subscribe. You can find me on Twitter as Big Damn Kid, Instagram as Big Damn Kid, on Facebook as Big Damn Kid, and you can find me here. I also have the website, which I'm going to redirect here rather than to a blog, so that people can find their way to this channel. And please tell your friends. I love to converse. I love to talk to people about Transformers. If you were a collector like I am, let me know. Leave me a comment below, and thanks for watching.